Hey YouTube, welcome to Rampage Reviews, and if you've seen this channel before, you might have seen me review some Star Wars books and get into some descriptions of how I liked the book, what I thought about it, and try to maybe sell you on it as if you wanted to read it. But going forward, what we're going to do on this channel is we're going to dive into the books, and there's going to be some spoilers, really analyze some of the things I liked about it, some of the characters that I like, where I think they rank amongst canon characters and legends characters and stuff like that. Give an overview of the book, talk about whether it can become canon or whether maybe it's would not really mesh with the canon storyline, and then ultimately tell you if I think it's a good book or not. Hang tight, stick around, we're going to dive into it. So this time the book that we're diving into is Star Wars: The Old Republic Fatal Alliance. I don't know if you're familiar with this book, but it's a book that was written by Sean Williams. Just have to look up when this takes place again. Ah, there it is. 3,650 years before the Battle of Yavin, to be exact. Thank God for this little thing right here. I want to apologize everybody in advance because I actually read this book about 2 books ago because I got ahead of myself, and then I read this book but then I forgot to make a video on it, or not necessarily forgot, I just got out of making videos. I haven't made a video in 3 years. This will be the first video since then. I really want to dive into what I liked about this book and what I didn't like, and exactly what it's all about. I'm probably going to have to look through it just a little bit just to remember what exactly starts and middles and ends in this book. Okay, so the character that we start with in this book, his name is Jet Nebula. He's kind of like a smuggler type, kind of like a Han Solo, and he captains the Auriga Fire. What people find out is that there's this ship that is abandoned out in the middle of space. Get what that ship is called. They talk about it throughout the entire book. Why don't I just look it up real quick? Almost there. This is not planned, I just don't remember. The Cinzia. Okay. The Cinzia is the ship that was abandoned out in the middle of space. This ship was piloted by another lady. Going back to the book now. Lema Xandret. There we go. We're going to get through this video. She's kind of a mystery at this point. Nobody really knows what her significance is. They find what we would now consider like a black box on the ship that talks about what happened before the ship was abandoned. And what they've determined is that Lema Xandret was maybe a part of some kind of a weird droid making operation. This black box that they're looking for actually goes missing. One of the Hutts comes in possession of it. There's several people that are on the lookout for this black box to try to figure out what happened to Lema Xandret and what's going on. It's this big mystery everybody's trying to figure out. They go into the Hutt's palace to try to bid on this black box. So there are 4 main people that are interested in finding this because it's going to uncover the mystery of what Lema Xandret is hiding. One is Eldon Axe. She's a Sith apprentice that is an apprentice to Darth Kratos, who's a Sith Lord that's introduced in this book. And we'll get into like this power of each of these characters, but right now we're just kind of like outline the players in this game, if you will. We've got Eldon Axe, who's a Sith apprentice. Darth Kratos is not technically a part of the Fatal Alliance, if you will. There's 4 main players. He's just the Sith Lord leader to Eldon Axe, okay? Let's move on. So now we got Shigar Kanshi, who's a Jedi Padawan in the book. He's also part of the Fatal Alliance. You have Dow Striver, who's a Mandalorian. He is also a part of the Fatal Alliance that's looking for this black box in Lema Xandret's ship, the Cinzia. I'm going to repeat it so I remember it this time. And then you have Jet Nebula. I believe he is also technically a part of the Fatal Alliance because he's a player that's looking for this box, and probably for selfish reasons. Maybe he wants to sell it. I can't remember exactly why, but all 4 of these people are looking for this black box. So they end up at this Hutt auction to find the black box. Well, the black box is auctioned off, but of course, people don't want to play by the rules, so Dow Striver and Eldon Axe are going after this black box. Shigar Kanshi also is chasing after Eldon Axe because he's a Jedi and she's a Sith. We got to stop the Sith, right? So he goes after her. They find the black box in this protected room that is actually protected by 2 droids, which they later call hexes. Once you find out what the hexes are, you're like, this is crazy. We need to see this in a movie, in a TV show, whatever. They're pretty insane. Basically, they're like biological droids where they have lifeblood inside of them that is, I think it's like purple or black or something. They can multiply their body parts and they can create shields for themselves, and they're pretty formidable. The players in this story have a very hard time taking just one of them down. They're very difficult to fight. What ends up happening is these people find out about these hexes, but then the black box is stolen by Dal's driver. He ends up with it. And of course, Eldenax says, I have to go get it because I need to please my master. He wants to find out what it's all about too, because Lema Xandret is hiding something. The one thing that they keep repeating over and over again, the hexes keep repeating, we do not recognize your authority. And they keep going, we do not recognize your authority. I imagine that's how it sounds like. They keep repeating it throughout the whole book because they're basically trying to convey to these people that they are a part of some neutral action that they don't want to be bothered with, that they're building some kind of a society, community, whatever, and they do not recognize people's authority. What they later find out is that there's a certain person's voice that's actually projecting this message through the droids, and they believe it's Lema Xandret's voice. They later find that out. The planet that Lema Xandret actually built these droids on is called Sabaddon. Once they find out what's in the black box, they find out they have to go to Sabaddon. I'm skipping all kinds of stuff. There's a little infighting here and there. There's drama. Read the book, you'll figure it out. It's a good read. I do like it. I'll get to that part later. But they later find out that they need to go to Sabaddon to figure out the secret of what Lema Xandret's hiding. What they find out is that there's hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of these droids on Sabaddon. Not only are there lots of them, but they build their own factories that build them. So they continually reproduce and continually, exponentially in speed, build themselves. Yes. It's nuts. They're so formidable, they're hard to fight, and they basically, it's called Fatal Alliance for a reason. You got Jedi, Sith, a smuggler, and a Mandalorian working together to take down this threat. By the way, Satele Shan is also in this book. I know you might have heard her name if you're a big Star Wars fan. She was a Jedi Grandmaster, maybe on Yoda's level back in the day. Yoda's like kind of top tier, so I mean, Satele Shan is pretty high tier. I don't know if she meets Yoda's level, but I mean, a lot of people think that Luke Skywalker met Yoda's level and maybe even surpassed him, but I would argue that he didn't. And then you have to get into Jedi Temple politics in the prequels and okay, I'm rambling, but anyway, they're in this Fatal Alliance trying to take down the hexes on Sabaddon, and there's a big fight. Spoiler alert: the hexes lose, and they find out that Lema Xandret is actually, they believe she's dead because she left these droids as like her dying creation. Oh yeah, she was an inventor. That's what it was. She was like a scientist inventor, okay? So anyway, I can't remember exactly how it ends, but that's basically just a very rough outline of what happens in the book. Read the book. It's pretty decent. The players in the book. Satele Shan, like I said, Jedi Grandmaster at the time. She leads the Jedi Temple. I'd have to put her below Yoda, but she's pretty strong from what we've seen. As far as Jedi go, she's unflappable. She's strong, she's talented, skillful, pretty much everything you need in a Jedi Grandmaster. So she could definitely be in the same conversation as Yoda. Me personally, probably wouldn't put her above, probably just below. Shigar Kanchi, he's a Jedi Padawan. He surprises you at times, but literally a Padawan. Probably below Episode 1 Obi-Wan. Episode 1 Obi-Wan was pretty strong. He was the first Jedi to kill a Sith in 1,000 years, so definitely pretty strong. Below that, for sure. Maybe even like Cal Kestis from Fallen Order. Darth Kratos, pretty strong Sith Lord in the book. I want to say he's like, man, this one's hard. Not like Darth Vader. Maybe? Gotta say lesser than Darth Vader, if you consider Darth Vader's accolades. So no, I wouldn't even say that. Darth Kratos answers to other people that are on the Sith, like the Sith High Council, which I think there's a Sith Empire in this book, which back in these times, it was the Sith Empire and then the Republic. Because if you look through a lot of the old Star Wars books, it's a repeat of Sith Empire versus the Republic. The Sith Empire challenges them, they usually lose, try to create another empire. It's this ongoing history of the Sith trying to create an empire to take over the Republic, and Palpatine was probably the most successful when it comes to creating the empire and taking out remnants of the Republic. So again, I'm rambling. Darth Kratos, I don't know. Between Dooku and Vader somewhere. He's pretty strong, he's pretty intimidating, but as far as like power goes, he's not like an overlord, so somewhere between like a Dooku and a Darth Vader, maybe, I guess. Whatever, sue me. Eldenax is a Sith apprentice, probably like a Darth Maul from Episode 1, kind of, probably maybe even lesser than that, probably not as talented. Darth Maul was pretty crazy in that movie, so I'd put him below that. She's just, again, lets her anger get the best of her, lets her ambitions get the best of her. And she's pretty talented, but she doesn't pull off anything crazy in the movie. book. You see some pretty decent stuff out of her in the book. Dallas Driver is a Mandalorian in the book. I know usually I just talk about Jedi and Sith, or at least in some of the videos that's what you'll see, but we'll talk about a Mandalorian. Is he any different than any of the other Mandalorians? Not really. He's like Din Djarin. He's Bo-Katan. They're all pretty talented. They all have a lot of weapons. Even Sabine in the new Ahsoka series she seems weak, but she's a Mandalorian and she does well as a Mandalorian. So they're all pretty talented in their own right, and Dallas Driver is no different. And then the other two big players in the book are Jet Nebula and Ula V. Ula V is someone I didn't mention yet. He's an Imperial agent. He's undercover as a Republic agent. And the people that he's working with, which are basically the Jedi, and then there's a former Republic commando that's in the book also. I forget, Lauren Moxley, I think it was. She is also in the book. He has everyone believing that he's a Republic agent when he actually works for the Imperials. Plot twist a little bit. So the characters, they're definitely interesting characters. You grow to like Jet Nebula. He's got a lot of good one-off liners, stuff like that. Can it be canon? 3,650 years before the Battle of Yavin. You can pretty much say that most things before Darth Bane could probably be tied in somehow. So yeah, it could be canon. Will it be? Again, probably not. However, it is part of the Old Republic series, which that has a lot going for it. Revan was in that time. This takes place around the same time as the Revan book that was written. That's also in the Old Republic series, because there's Revan, Annihilation, Fatal Alliance. I think there's one other one. Can't remember off the top of my head. But it could become canon just because it's part of that series. The Old Republic game is definitely popular. People are drawn to that time frame if you're a really big fan of the expanded universe now called Legends. Probably more likely than some books that it could become canon, but not a huge push for it, most likely. People are just too into the Skywalker saga. Can't really get away from it, really. Is it a good book? I can tell you when I read it, I enjoyed it. There were times where it was hard to put down. That's probably mostly having to do with the action sequences. There's a lot of action. It moves from place to place to place. The ability of the hexes, like, it's interesting to continue to learn about the things that they can do, and then to try to read on how the different players of the game fight the hexes. They do a lot of different things. It's kind of crazy. You do kind of get drawn to the characters a little bit. Like I said, I really like Jet Nebula as a character. I thought he was funny, witty, clever, stuff like that. I thought the Sith Apprentice, Eldon Axe, and Darth Kratos played good roles in the book. Sateli Shan was cool to read about. She's freaking super powerful. So yeah, I was drawn to the characters. I think that's big when you're a writer is, do I care about the characters? Is it easy to get through? Can I visualize it easily while I'm reading it? I could say both of those things are probably true for this book. And it was definitely an interesting scenario throughout the book. I'm writing this as we speak, but I'm going to give it 8.3. That's a pretty high score. I'm going to say this a lot, but I will not give bad scores for Star Wars books because I love the content, but it's all about the readability. And for this one, readability was pretty good. I enjoyed the characters. That was a good book altogether. So, hey, thanks for watching my video. If you like the content that I provide, like the video, subscribe to the page, and make sure to check out my next video. Appreciate you guys coming. Have a great day.